What would happen if music never existed? What if it has never evolved? In order to answer that, I'll share a fun fact with you. Humans have never found a tribe or culture that has never evolved music. Not even one. They might have different style, different instruments, or different purposes with their music, but there is definitely going to be rhythm, structured sound, and something that isn't language. That alone should make you think. If music were just entertainment, we would expect at least one culture to skip it. There must be something deeper to make music inevitable. So why music? Why does every human society carries it around like oxygen? So let's go through some obvious answers. You might say music is just for fun. Well, that statement alone is not strong enough to explain why every single human society has it. Plenty of fun things are not universal. Chess isn't universal, basketball isn't, storytelling varies a lot in different cultures. Fun doesn't guarantee evolutionary persistence, so that's not enough. Well, you can also say music expresses emotion. Yes, but so does language and so does facial expressions and touch. If emotion expression were the only function, music would be redundant. Redundant systems don't become universal across 200,000 years. Well, you can also say music helps bonding. True. Group singing feels powerful. But bonding also happens through shared danger, shared food, shared beliefs, and the blood relationship. You don't really need a melody to trust someone. So again, it is helpful, but it is not necessary. If music survives everywhere, they must be doing something that the alternative cannot fully replace. So what is that thing? Let's go one layer deeper. Early humans have no writing, nearly no vocabulary, and faces constant environmental threats. Yet, it still reaches the top of the food chain even before agriculture. What does the human brain do exceptionally well? The answer is pattern recognition. We detect patterns in movement of the predator, the change of the season, random sounds from a bush, or shifts of voice tone from fellow human. Survival required predicting what comes next. Now think about rhythm. Rhythm is a structured prediction. When you hear a beat, your brain starts forecasting the next beat automatically. It cannot stop. Music hijacks the brain's predictive machinery. That machinery existed before music. A successful prediction will be rewarded with dopamine because it often means a successful hunt or an escape from a predator. Music trains this machine in a controlled way. It creates artificial prediction loop. And here's the part you might ignore. Prediction is how the brain reduces anxiety. When the world is unpredictable, stress rises. When patterns are stable, stress drops. Brain releases dopamine. Music gives predictable structure in an unpredictable world. Heart rate will be stabilized when you hear music, and neural oscillation aligns. This is measurable. So music isn't just emotional decoration. It is controlled predictability, which is insanely valuable for early human survival. Now scale this from one brain to many. If one brain locks into rhythm, that's interesting. If 20 brain locks into the same rhythm, something else happens. They will synchronize. You get those cave dudes vibing with same breath, same movement, and focus on the same thing. This reduces friction in a group action. Before modern institutions, synchronization matters. In hunting, in their rituals they were doing, and when they have to do war with another tribe or they have to do mass migration out from Africa, without synchronized nervous system, coordination costs energy and can be much more riskier. Music is a low-cost synchronizer, needless of complex language nor hierarchy, just rhythm. If you remove music from early human evolution, group synchronization becomes harder, slower, and less automatic. Over thousands of generations, small efficiency becomes very different, and they will compound. You might say, fine, music is useful, but that doesn't make it necessary. I bet human can just do fine without music anyways. So let's assume music never appeared. Humans still have language. They still have social bonds and still have intelligence. So can humans still survive without music? The answer is likely to be a yes. But will we look the same? Probably not. Without rhythmic training, temporal precision in speech may develop differently. Collective ritual may become more verbally heavy. You would get a species more dependent on explanation, less fluent in shared feeling without words. A species that regulates through meaning instead of rhythm, that changes the culture deeply. And the step of human evolution is likely going to be slowed by quite a percentage. There's another layer too. Music allows emotion without object. You can feel grief without a story, hope without a speech, tension without a threat. Take that away, emotion would need narrative to trigger more often. That increased cognitive load. Music offload emotional process from language. Without it, brain work harder to reach the same states. That cost adds up across lifetime. So a society without music is going to face different hardships, and it is not going to be detrimental, but it will eventually get outcompeted by a society that has music. Here's the part that matters. If music were neutral, it's neither helping nor hurting survival. We would expect at least one human group to drift away from it, but that never happened, which suggests something simple. Music sits in the sweet spot of evolution. It is cheap to produce, it is easy to transmit, neurologically powerful, and it is stabilizing a society. It is such an efficient tool to discard. It is not because music is sacred or destined. It is because music works. So what would happen if music never existed? Humanity will still be there, but we're going to be much more slower on our development, and we're going to be weaker. Music didn't evolve because we're bored. It stayed because it quietly optimized group brains. And maybe that's why you never seen a world without it. It's not just a declaration. Because it solved the problem so early in our story that we forgot it was ever a problem.